And just like that, it is another week here on the Ride Along. And we got Mr. Matt Brading sitting back here out in Texas, coming in live from Houston. And how's it going, dude?
Man, it is going great. Still got that good inspection weather, man. I'm feeling it. I'm loving it out here right now.
Tell me about it, man. I was talking with some of the Porchies that I work with daily. They were, people are everywhere from Virginia out to Seattle, and I'm just sitting down here in Florida, and they're bitching and moaning about the weather, and I'm like, I'm not going to tell you that I see a cloud in the sky, and that's the most that I've seen all day.
I just had a
It's just,
realization. Am I a Porgy?
are you? Are you? Do you want to wear that badge?
I feel
You know,
I feel like I'm a Porgy. I don't
I
know.
think you're a Porchy man in my mind. You're an honorary Porchy. I think it's a
I
great
think
thing
I'm
for
Porgy.
you.
I just realized that, so I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
getting
Well, we
comfortable
got to
with
get
it.
you one of these here shirts. These fancy ride along
It
shirts.
does look nice. It
Yeah.
does look
I mean,
nice.
it's the Eddie Bauer ones. It kind of fits like a dad shirt, or like, remember,
I'm a
like
dad.
in like the late '90s, 2000s, the one that's like you tied it around the waist a little bit, or
I
you
mean,
wore it real
I like
loose.
the lumberjack look, man. Like I'm into
Yeah,
it.
man.
You know,
Yeah, I dig
I
it.
got the beard
Well,
for it.
okay, dude, catch me up. The latest, the best, the coolest thing that you've seen in the field this week.
Coolest? I don't know. I will tell you an experience I had. I'm just going to tell you an experience I had. Okay. This is definitely not something cool, but it was more of a realization. Um, so I was inspecting a shower, tile shower pan,
Mm.
and I noticed a cracked tile on the floor of the shower, and so I reached down there to just kind of feel the crack, and the crack moved
Oh, how did the crack move?
because it wasn't a crack; it was a hair.
Oh,
Right.
now are we talking like a long hair, or like what are we looking at here?
It
Like
was not very long, no. It was,
it was
it
it
was
was
it was a
from
pu it
elsewhere upon the body.
yes, yes, a pubic hair. It was
Yes, okay.
I'm assuming,
From
I guess it could have been a beard hair or something like that, I guess.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna go with
you'd
that
be the
because it
one
still
to know
seems
about
better.
that. You are representing the bearded gang here. Now our
Yeah.
guest Jesse today is bearded as well. So how's it going, Jesse?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Definitely, man, dude. Glad you're here. It just seemed like a natural, easy tie in there. We weren't planning on just going straight to the guest segment, but you're on the show, so let's go ahead. We have three
Bring him in.
different stages of beard growth here, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I was
I
just
should
kind of looking,
Me and
and they're
Jesse
all
should switch.
yeah, that's
I
good.
don't know.
I'm looking one side to the other, and I'm like stubble, 2 weeks growth, 1 year's growth. So, no,
Matt
I love
definitely
it.
has me beat in the beard arena. He's so finely groomed.
That's,
I
dude,
I
it's the
take care of
signature
it.
thing, man.
I take pride in it. I do. I trim my own beard.
I can't do it.
But
I gotta look good, you know?
that's what happened at the in the bathroom. Somebody must have done the same, you
Yeah, I'm gonna
know.
go with that.
Well, let's
It
assume it
feels
was
a
that.
lot better to think that that's what happened. Feels a
Did you
lot
wash
better.
your hands after?
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. There's some things that soap don't wash off, man.
The memory stays. Yeah, you
It is
still
what it
know.
is, though. That's inspection life right there.
That's it, man. That's it. Jesse, what we're going to tell everybody, let's go ahead. We'll just jump into it. Tell everybody, first of all, what it is that you do, because you got a very unique job in the real estate space as well.
So I am a licensed public adjuster, and what that means for anyone who doesn't know, because let's face it, a lot of people don't know. There's a couple different people who are involved in an insurance claim. We're just so happen to be the adjusters who represent the policyholders against the carriers, or we work with them.
All right. And honestly, guys, for the watchers and listeners, we thought Matt and I both thought as we were talking about guests to bring on the show that this would be a really interesting segment because there's kind of two people in the real estate space that I feel like inspectors get mistaken for. I think maybe the biggest is appraisers, but then I also hear adjusters as well. Have you ever been mixed up with one of those, Matt?
Oh yeah, people call me asking for an appraisal. They mean inspection usually. I've had some people that actually did need an appraisal, and I was like, oh no, I don't do that. But no, yeah, all the time. They mix that up all the time.
Yep. So Jesse, what is it that an appraiser does? Just first and foremost, right off the bat.
Well,
Okay, so I got it right. So I'm an adjuster, right? I'm a public adjuster, We just did it, right?
See, oh wait, I mixed it up. See,
I thought you
see?
were like throwing him for a loop there. That wasn't on purpose.
That actually, I wish I could
He
say it
caught it
was. It's
though.
just
He
late,
caught it.
man.
Yeah. So, and it's funny you say that because, right, there are appraisers in the insurance world. You know, they're property damage appraisers, and there's public adjusters, and they can be the same person, but you know, they have two separate. They serve two different jobs.
Just in case we needed it to get more confusing. It
That's
can't
it.
Yeah.
actually be the same person.
Okay, and I want to get into what those two different jobs are because I want to break down very specifically what it is. It's neat. I mean, I love that we get to kind of because think about it, right? As home inspectors, Matt, you and I, we get to interact with all kinds of different people from the real estate space, right? It's never just the buyer or just the seller. That's the majority of what we do. But you end
Right.
up crossing paths with so many different people, pest
Right.
control, or you know, radon mitigation. You know, a lot of us test for radon, but we don't always do the mitigation work.
Right.
Plumbers, electricians, we run in with everybody. But you know, two different types of adjusters. That's something that's going to be really interesting to talk about, especially because a lot of the inspections that I end up doing down in Florida are for insurance purposes with wind mitigations, 4-point, things like that. So it'll be interesting to get into that. But before we do, guys, we need to do the drink of the day because Jesse, you along with Matt and I are both we're all bourbon guys here.
Definitely a bourbon guy.
All right. And before we even do the drink of the day, we do have to say, not obligatorily, quite happily, that the drink of the day segment is sponsored once again by Inspection Fuel 2025. Right there. Make sure that you guys go online, inspectionfuel.com, sign up. It's going to be September 8th through the 10th in Newlands. So we're going to be having a good old time down there in the Big Easy. It's going to be at the Marriott. Going to be a fun time. Matt, we're going to be doing a live show down there.
We are live podcast.
Yep, it's going to be good. All right. So, drink of the day. Let's go left to right on my screen here. Jesse, we'll start with you.
I'm drinking the Old Forester. It's a single barrel selection. Local group here, Bourbon Hounds of Houston.
Okay.
So went with a local pick.
Nice.
All
nice.
right.
Old
Old
Forester's
Forester's from Houston.
good bourbon. Well, no, it's not. It's not local. Old Forester's not.
It's a local pick.
Kentucky bourbon. He's in a local bourbon club.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the
gotcha.
club picked it, and it is currently serving me at 129.7 proof.
That's
Oh,
a
you will be
bourbon.
feeling
That's got a kick to it.
That'll clean off a week.
You start the night with that one. You don't end the night with that one.
That's exactly right.
All
my
right, so
God.
I guess I'm next. I am. This is local actually. So I'm actually headed out at the end of this week, or actually Saturday. I'm headed to Round Rock, and on the way from Houston to Round Rock, there is a small, not a distillery, but a little whiskey. It's called Cooper's Family Whiskey. It's a little bar, and they sell their blends and stuff. And this is a Cooper's Family. This is their single barrel bourbon. They have a bunch of varieties. I haven't had a bad bottle there yet. If you're ever headed out that way, Jesse, it's a nice little stop. Good place to have a cocktail and pick up a bottle.
Put it on my
Cheers.
list now.
Dude, I would love to check that out too. The beer scene, I feel like, is pretty good in Texas as well. I mean, you guys are known for Shiner and stuff like that, but the whiskey scene, I haven't really tried that one out down there.
I mean, there's not much to it, to be honest with you. And like I say, this is just a blend of different bourbons. It's probably just a bunch of Kentucky bourbons, to be honest with you. But it's just a cool spot, and I like to pick up a bottle there whenever I'm passing by, because that's the only place. I have actually found it in some local shops, but it's not easy to find.
You know, we would be great for a drink at the day segment would be Texas wine, because you guys are pretty well renowned for wine country down around Austin and stuff.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about wine, so I mean, like, somebody would have to steer me in the right direction.
Well, we'll sit here and pontificate like we know what we're actually talking about.
There is a distillery. The name escapes me, but it's in High, Texas. It's a Texas bourbon. The facilities are awesome, and it's in wine country.
Huh?
Really?
That's interesting.
So in
Are
the
they
middle of
finishing it?
all these wineries, there's this one lone bourbon distillery.
because some dude like me was down there going, well, I don't really drink wine. Let's do something else.
Dang
Garrison
it.
Brothers, that's it.
Oh, I'm familiar with Garrison Brothers, but I didn't realize that was what was going on. Well,
All right.
what do you got there, Brad?
I I just picked this up.
Hey, the
Have you guys
Traveler.
tried? Have you tried Traveler?
I have. Yeah, I got a bottle of that. That's out of the Buffalo Trace Distillery, if I'm not mistaken.
The one that just flooded.
That's correct.
Thoughts and prayers. Yeah, yeah. Um, so
That's also
it's
Chris Stapleton's whiskey.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So he paired up with one of their master distillers over there, and they put together quite a nice little bourbon there. But it's got a little bit different flavor profile than regular old Buffalo Trace, but same distillery, where they crank out all their other good stuff. But do you guys know any updates on the flooding situation over there at all that he kept?
I heard it's receded. I actually had a couple buddies who were down in Kentucky working those floods.
Oh man.
Oh wow.
Well,
So it's receded, but I wonder, like, I mean, were they prepared for something? This isn't the first time this has happened over there, though, right? Because like it seems like every couple of years something happens at the Buffalo Trace Distillery.
well, they're right
Like
on that river. Yeah.
part of it gets like damaged or something. I don't know. Seems like I always hear about something happening. But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. If anybody's got
I'm
an
not sure.
update on the Buffalo Trace Distillery,
Yeah.
call
Sound
in.
off in the comments.
Do we need to
Yeah,
stop?
we want to hear, man. We
Yeah,
want to
I
hear.
mean, I buy a bottle every time I go into the store because right now it's the normal price. So whatever.
Now, yeah. All right, cool. Well, now that we got what we're sipping on here, let's talk about what we're here to talk about, which is Jesse. Clarify for us, if you would, the differences between those two different adjusters: a public adjuster, an insurance adjuster.
So
What are the
there's
roles? What are the jobs?
to confuse it more, Brad. I'm gonna throw in one more, right? So the carriers, the Allstate, State Farm, just so people are familiar, they know them, they see them on TV all the time. They have people who work directly for them. They are called a staff adjuster, right? And sometimes some of these smaller companies, or even some of the larger ones, they will farm out their work to uh, kind of independent adjusters or independent adjusting firms. So you have these guys who kind of work for themselves, or maybe they work for a firm. They don't work directly for the carrier, they're an independent. And then you have us rebels who work for the people, and we work specifically for the policyholder.
See, this is where I think I like this kind of line that we're drawing between that and inspection, because so do we, like as third party inspectors. People are like, builders have their inspectors and the city has their inspectors, and everyone thinks that somebody's in somebody's pocket. But we are hired by the buyer, and so our interests are only aligned with the person that's buying that house. And so that's what, when I found out what you were doing, and I didn't even really know this existed, and Jesse tells me that's what he was doing, I was like, oh wow. I immediately thought we need to get this out there and let people know. And I was anxious to have you on the show because you are working for the people. That's what we're doing. And so I feel like we're very much aligned in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. We are beholden to the policyholder, right? We're technically considered a fiduciary agent. We got to look out for the best interest of our policyholders, and that's what we do.
No, that's great, man. Now, where and tell me if this even happens, but does a public adjuster ever end up having a run-in basically with the insurance companies where you go out there representing the policyholder and you're looking and checking what's going on, your numbers don't line up with what their guy is saying? How do you reconcile that? What's the process like from there?
So that happens almost exclusively, right? Like, and a lot of times the gap is so big, and it really depends. I would say it's law specific, Brad. You could have a case where you need to go take that appraisal process we were talking about, or maybe we just take another visit to the property, right? Let's go out. I've written my estimate, you've written yours. These are all the line items like that were different. What are we looking at? What's our difference, right? Let's go back out to the property. Let's do a reinspect, and let's go look at why I have this and you have that, right? And then we'll just go back at it, meet them on property, and just kind of go and compare, or just ask questions, right? Like, how is it that I'm removing and replacing this, you want to just clean this, right? What's going on here? And, really it's just kind of going back out to the property, getting eyes back on it, and being able to explain and articulate why something needs to be done.
What is the percentage that like you as a public adjuster win that battle?
And that's a tough one to say, but probably more times than not, because we don't really try to fluff our scopes, right? It's legitimate damage is there, and we can prove it. So if it's provable and we can obviously articulate why we are putting that into our scope, chances are we're going to get it flipped, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I
And
mean, that's the
that
deal. Like you are
process,
working for the people to make sure that they are getting all they need out of their claim and not getting shorted.
Yeah, there's so many different things in the policy, Matt, that most homeowners never read their policy. In fact, most homeowners, they're not even getting their policy until after they've purchased it, right? Which is weird.
Right.
Like you purchase this policy, you get it, and then what happens? You throw it in a drawer, in a file cabinet. You never look at it again until you actually need it. And then
Yeah,
at that
I'm
point, you
totally
have
guilty.
no idea what your coverage is. You have no idea what kind of coverage, what's covered, what's not, what's a loss, what isn't. I see it all the time. And, that's what we do. We'll go through those policies, review the coverage with them, let them know what coverage can be applied, what they don't have, and, just kind of start from there.
yeah. And again, with those policies, do you make yourself familiar with them before you get there on site, or are you just so used to working with the different insurance companies, you kind of have a good idea of what their policy is going to be? And then specifically for damages that you're looking at, how do you kind of reconcile those with those policies, if you would?
So, I mean, in this day and age, Brad, policies vary. You'll see a lot of the same repetitive endorsements and policy language per carrier, but it's all kind of interpreted differently. Every insurance company interprets those a little bit differently, but really, I tend to get as much information prior to going out. If I can read your policy or if I can read your declaration page, see a few photos before I get on site and prepare myself for what I'm going to see. I mean, you want to do that first because the last thing you want to do is get a policy. You see that the damage was invisible, next to nothing, or maybe they don't even need a public adjuster. They just need some good advice, right? You don't necessarily need to sign every claim. There's a lot of stuff that you can kind of help policyholders through to the next stage without ever even signing them as a client, right? It's just more goodwill. But I'd say for the most part, I don't really go out unless like I know it was a really bad loss. I try to tend to prepare myself by looking at photos, any documents they have, the scope if they have one, and that policy.
I got so many questions coming off of that. Number one, like, how do people find you and look you up? Is it the same way that they kind of go about looking for a home inspector? Like they've got this need. There's one guy that's going to fix that. They're not going to trust just the insurance guy. So they're looking at Google reviews. Are they looking at just personal recommendations? Or do they talk to an agent? How do they find you?
So it's funny you ask. Here in Houston, it really depends. A lot of markets kind of have several ways. I'd say one of the very, like, just probably the most popular or most common way to find a public adjuster is, a contractor, right? Contractors usually hit a homeowner. They knocked a door for a roof claim. Maybe it was a plumber, who went out for a water heater who exploded, whatever the case may be. Maybe you're here in Houston, there was a hurricane. Contractor referrals by far take the cake. Uh, Past clients, they refer clients pretty regularly. Um, you know, Google helps a ton. You can SEO these days does magic. Here in Houston, and there's a few other large markets, we actually go out and uh, kind of solicit fire claims from time to time or daily. Depends on who you
Okay.
fire.
From time to time daily.
That's a strategy right there, man. No, I love it. And so now that they've found you, you get on site. Matt and I, when we go through a house, we're looking at properties. He's got his process by going through a home. I've got mine. Every inspector is a little bit different. Is there kind of a standard of practice for public adjusters in as far as what you're looking at and the way you go about evaluating the home? And what's that look like?
So, I mean, everyone kind of does their own, has their own inspection process. I typically start with the policy, and then depending on the loss, uh, if there's exterior damage and interior damage, right, there may not be conclusive of each other, but generally starting outside, working your way around, starting inside, working your way around, really kind of loss specific as well, right? I'm not going to go and document the interior of a house when I'm looking at the roof, or, if there's damage through the garage and, I'm not really looking at the other side of the house. So really depends on the loss. Documentation is key in this industry, and you want to make sure that you're capturing damage from literally every angle possible, and from anywhere that it could be.
No, that's good. And following the estimate, we get called deal killers all the time as home inspectors, right? Where somebody's getting ready to, they've got this house either for sale, or the agent's really really trying to get to closing, and we find all of these issues and we've killed the deal. Is there anything that's kind of like that on the adjuster side, where it's like somebody comes back and was like, yeah, he got us all of this money, but then our policy just went through the roof afterwards, screw that guy? Like, is there anything that happens like that that blows back on you, or?
No, I mean, really, we're kind of a helping hand all the way through from, as soon as you guys get us pulled in. And sometimes that could be, the middle of a loss, like maybe you've been underpaid, your contractors kind of told you like, hey, you probably need a public adjuster. Or maybe we get called in the very beginning because it was like a really bad loss and it's very complex. So there's not really a kind of a ton of blowback from having a public adjuster, other than getting properly, put back to pre-loss condition. Um, I will say, if the carrier here in Texas, we have a recension period with our contracts, right, which is 72 hours, so 3 days. So if you have a major loss and the carrier comes out and they deem that to be a total loss and they're going to pay policy limits and they give that in writing, then we don't have to do a thing, right? Our contract goes away and you don't even need the public adjuster, right? So that that's kind of a way that we poof disappear, and you didn't really need us even though we were there.
That's interesting.
Okay, dude, Matt, I almost wonder, like, what would a dad do if he was following an adjuster around instead of following an inspector around? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It
for sure.
happens.
Like you got like the buyer's dad that shows up during the inspections. Yeah, I can totally see the same. The dad would do the same thing. It would be the
Yeah.
same thing. It'd be the same guy. Hey, Hey, look on the back side of that thing. Make sure you check that side of the roof over there too. That got affected too.
I would
It
have
happens. I get the
evaluated that at
dads.
least $200
You get
more,
the dad?
right?
No, I see. I can totally see it.
I
I
get
can
the
totally see
dads.
it.
Yeah.
And like there's like some damage that happened that's nearby, but it's not related. But the dad's like, yeah, this was part of it too. This is part of it too. Try to throw that in the flag.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How'd that get there? Yeah.
yeah. Like he
Uh,
actually overflowed a sink, but he's like, no, but yeah, this came from the leak in the garage.
so do you ever see anything like that? Like, does like the dad show up on site, Jesse, in this kind of the same way we have to deal with?
I've had dads, I've had uncles, I've had business partners, ex-husbands,
Hmm.
sons,
Oh,
daughters, everything.
so
Everyone wants to be a part
yes,
of it.
yeah. And what does that look like though? Like, what is the most annoying thing that they do while
Everything.
you're trying to get the job done? Everything,
Everything.
They
yeah.
bring no
Yeah,
value, right? Like if you knew
right,
what you were doing, you wouldn't need me,
right.
right? So, I mean, it's funny. I love it. Help. But a lot of times I see that it almost hurts more than it helps,
It
right? Because it's
always does.
opinion
Yeah,
more than facts or any relative information.
yeah. I mean, they'll base some of their opinions and some personal experience maybe that they've had, but I mean, like they don't have any actual experience in the field. And I mean, this is the inspection buyer's dad. It's the exact same thing. I mean, we deal with all of the exact same things. I didn't think about that until you mentioned it, perhaps. Yeah, we're
No,
very
yeah.
much in line with that aspect too. That's crazy.
I mean, I'm just thinking how annoying it is when they're trying to, like, their whole goal on an inspection is making sure that, their son or their daughter, their pride and joy, just gets the best possible deal on the house that they can, and they want to make sure that they're not getting ready to buy a lemon. But I'm like, you throw money in the game now? Oh, baby. right? It's like, well, you could get way more for that, like I cannot even imagine how that is. But okay, this is where again we're kind of coming back to a little bit of like a crossroads here between how we work and Jesse, how you would work as an adjuster, and that we both have to communicate our value to a sometimes less than cooperative client. um, so what's your method for doing that? I mean, because for me, as an inspector, I've always kind of tried to take as much of a defuse the situation tone as possible. I got to be the cool head in the room, while sometimes also very diplomatically putting the dad figure or whoever it is kind of in their place a little bit. I've got jargon that I'll break out that I would not use for a normal home buyer, right? All the technical language. But how do you manage that situation? What's that look like for you?
You know, working with multiple personalities in this industry, I think it's really just kind of like educating them from the beginning that, you know, oversharing can do more harm than good. And when you explain that to them, when that adjuster's coming, it tends to shut them up a bit, right? And it's smart though, right? Because the last thing you want to do is say something that's relevant or has no relevancy and kind of damages the claim. And, no one wants to say too much. No one wants to be that guy. So I just kind of say that.
No,
That's
I think
interesting. That seems effective.
no, most definitely. So, how many do you fit in a day? Because with inspection, Matt, how many do you do normally? You do two tops?
Max 2, yeah.
Okay,
I've
yeah,
done
most.
3 before, but it's been like small things like a reinspection, maybe a phase construction, and then a final or something like that. But I've done that like 1 or 2 times, and even that is borderline too much because 'cause you've
Sure,
still
yeah,
got
yeah.
3 reports to deal with.
Oh yeah, it's a late night every time. Yeah. Most I would ever do was three. There was a couple times where I would like chuck in a fourth condo or
Oh
something
my
because it was
god.
tiny. But
Good
yeah,
luck.
and then I
That's nuts.
no, I was writing a report until midnight and then getting up at 5 the next morning to finish it before going out again. But Jesse, how many sites do you tend to fit in a day, or how many claims do you tend to file?
So most of what I do is going out and actually obtaining the clients, and then
Okay.
there's the actual inspections, and I'm there for those, and then maybe there is an investigation, and I'm there for that, or maybe there's a reinspection. So if you count all the things, it could be one, it could be five or six. That's a really busy day. And then tomorrow it could be one again, right? Or maybe I have an off day, right? It's just, you just never know. Claims are a little bit more inconsistent. One day you're hit with three, and then the next day, hey, it's slow day, right? It averages out though, and you stay pretty busy once you put your name out there and you've made a name for yourself and people trust you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gave your name out today. I gave your number to somebody today. Well,
Hey,
I didn't. I gave your number to my wife, who gave it to somebody because this guy called. She answers my work phone most of the time, and somebody called her and was like, "Yeah, yeah, I need an inspection." He started going off on everything that he needed, and he was talking about there some damage that had happened, and this argument between the insurance company and stuff. And I was telling her, I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, like he does not need a home inspection. Like he needs something else." And she was like, "Well, what does he need?" And I go, he needs Jesse. He needs Jesse. Give him this number. He needs a public adjuster. So I gave him your number. But I mean, everything she said, I was like, this is perfect. this is a perfect
perfect.
candidate. I don't know if he actually called you or not, or maybe he will. I don't know.
Jesse, do you refer a lot of inspectors? Again, because with working with insurance companies, one of the things I've found in Florida is some of the best leads that you can get as an inspector down here is through insurance agents, because there's so many insurance inspections that are needed. So, do you end up crossing spheres in a sense with inspectors where you end up referring them out?
So me kind of almost, pivoting to that industry, me being in the reconstruction space and public adjusting, I kind of tend to cross, and being an investor, I tend to cross a lot of real estate people, a lot of relationships, and I do refer inspectors. And oddly enough, only two.
Here
Matt
I've
we
never
go.
being
had one
one,
call.
Matt being one,
I one
and then
call.
So one of my a
Really
buddy of
overqualified. He's
mine.
just saying that because I'm on the show.
I told you this before. So a buddy of mine who was, he's a home inspector, was, kind of is the one who got me kind of going on the industry. And so, and him, and, he's a vet and does great work. He's done a lot of work for me and my family, anytime we buy a house. And then, Matt, Matt's got such a great voice, a big voice in the Houston market, and just really awesome guy. So it's very hard not to just say Matt.
Cheers.
Texas Edge,
I like
man.
that.
Texas Edge. Hey, look, I'm even still wearing my own Texas Edge hat
Look
that
at
I picked
that.
right here. How
Looks
about that?
dang good on you, man.
I need to get some clarity inspection hats from wherever you ordered these, because they fit so good, and it is so tough to find a hat that actually fits well.
I know, these good hats, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're quality, man. So okay, we didn't really talk about this. We talked before we started recording live, but Jesse, you were considering being a home inspector. You were telling us before the call, before we started. What kind of led you to go down the route of being a public adjuster as opposed to joining Matt in the inspection sphere?
I think I did the national test, passed that, started working on
I
my
didn't know
tech.
you did that.
I did.
I didn't know you got that far.
That
I
thing's a
did.
pain, man.
I actually I was pretty far. I was testing everything. Like I was about to get licensed.
Yeah, I mean, if you
And
took the test, yeah, you're steps away from getting licensed. Okay.
yes, I was like right there, like just about to cross the finish line, and a buddy of mine calls me up and pitches me on, fire claims, and it's like, wow, you seem like a really good fit, come check this out. And it made a lot of sense. And I'm used to being a sales guy, not necessarily like being a trade. And so it was just a more natural fit. And it just kind of got me interested. I made that pivot, and, lo and behold, public adjuster.
Hey,
All
it
right.
worked out, man. It seems like it's a heck of a career for sure. So,
It's fun. It's interesting. You never know what you're going to see or who you're going to meet. And very much like being a home inspector, I'm sure you guys have come across some crazy stuff in a house.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Sometimes some gross stuff. You know, I mean, it seems like you're really passionate about what you do. And so, I mean, like, I think that's always like a good fit for you whenever you find something that you can just be passionate about, something that you could sit there and talk about for hours. And it seems like you could do that. So it sounds like you found a really good fit for yourself.
It's fun, Matt. I think at the end of the day, I just like being a problem solver and helping people. It's not so much like it's the industry itself. It's just that, so many people who have claims, they get taken advantage of. And I didn't know this industry existed till a few years ago, right? And then I found out about it. And I'm like, this is a thing? And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, well, like that seems kind of cool. Like, and I just kind of landed into it. And, now I'm working with a company, developing franchises, creating more public adjusters, and, helping people escape the 9 to 5, but they're also get to go into a trade where they get to help people. And, I get to help so many people because time is, finite, but by building more of these public adjusters, I get to help more people. And,
Right.
at the end of the day, that's what's fun. It's, what's going on in the industry because you get an insider's look at it every day. And, I tell people all the time, when you see homeowners getting paid, 50 cents on the dollar what they're due, if that's going on, you got to do something about it. Tell someone, help someone out. Um, be that guy who just helps people. And that's really what it's about.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I really like that.
very good. And last question that I've got for you: what got you into bourbon, man? Because I feel like we've all got a little bit of a backstory. When did that
Ooh,
bug
man,
bite
it's
you?
been a long time. It's been a long time. My bourbon journey's come deep. It's come a long, long ways.
This is gonna be a separate episode, but I'm here
Yeah.
for it.
It really is. I think I remember growing up as a kid, my dad, just kind of being my dad would drink bourbon from time to time. And to me it just always seemed like an American, the masculine drink, the man's drink. And I'll tell you what, I remember I was watching a show and it kind of sparked everything, I guess. It was the show on FX, Justified,
Ooh, okay,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And I started watching it, and they're in Kentucky, they're in bourbon country, and every other scene, they're pouring a bourbon. And it's like, and I just started giving it a chance. I started with Eagle Rare. Next thing you know, it's Elmer T. Lee and George C. Stagg. And then, next thing you know, I'm spending way too much money on bourbon.
Oh, dude, I hear that. It's almost the same way. I mean, just kind of very similar. When you mentioned watching a show, this is about 14 years ago. I started to dabble in cigars, and I moved back home from Florida to Virginia. I'm back in Florida now, and an old friend of mine, his name was Pablo. Awesome dude. He was like, if you really like cigars, you should try pipes. And so I was like, I never thought about trying pipes. Seems like an old guy thing, But then I was watching, gosh, it was Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. And there was this part of the show where this train car is getting mowed down by a machine gun, and he just hits the deck. He and Watson hit the deck, and he takes his pipe out and lights it up. And Watson looks at him because like, you picked a heck of a time to be taking a smoke. And he's like, why? I mean, he's like, they're gonna run out of ammunition at some point. I might as well enjoy it. And it was just such a badass moment that I was like, I called my buddy. I was like, Pablo, I need to get a pipe, man. And he, unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. But his fiance called me a while later and said, I've got some things of Pablo's that I want you to have. And one of them
Oh,
was this
nice.
pipe right here. Got to share it with a proper pipe carver out of, gosh, he's in Columbia, Tennessee, I think. But just south of Nashville anyway. But he looked at it. He's like, oh, dude, this is actually pretty freaking decent. Like this was like hand carved by somebody in France, in the south of France or something. But I mean, hey, hats off to Pablo for getting me into pipe tobacco, and
There you
hats
go.
off to Justified
Good
for getting you
problem.
into bourbon.
Right on.
Cheers to that.
So, what I met Jesse early in my bourbon journey, like
Okay.
relatively, because I did the whole bourbon thing really weird. I went to Scotch first and then bourbon. I think it's a little
Ooh, oh,
backwards for
backwards. Okay,
most.
yeah.
It was really just because, like, back in the day, I was playing blues guitar. I was in a blues band with my buddies, and we just decided, like, in order to be cool, we had to drink Scotch. Like, that was the only way we could be cool. And
Yeah.
so we just started to drink Scotch just because we were idiots, and then we developed a taste for it. And then I was like, okay, well, Scotch is pretty good. Like, let me try bourbon. And I was like, oh yeah, I like bourbon. I was trying to kind of figure it out or whatever. Jesse, he told me one thing a long time ago. I don't remember it specifically, but he told me one thing a long time ago because I can't remember why the topic of bourbon being or not being smooth came up. But Jesse told me like bourbon, good bourbon is not smooth. There's a bourbon, it just is not smooth. If it's like it, and I totally get it now. Like it's funny because like as you develop a taste for bourbon, you start drinking higher proof stuff. Like
It burns.
I mean, it does, but in such a good way. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
yeah. Yeah.
and so and you almost crave that. Whereas like I mean, this stuff that everyone thinks is smooth really just is just super low proof and not even really.
You got some that's good to sip on, and then you got others that's good to really enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Like it all depends on what your experience is or
I mean, it's
what you're.
just how you want. I mean, I don't really care. Like whatever you like, drink it however you want and drink it, with whatever you want, mix it if you want, do whatever you want. It's your journey. But,
Cheers.
That's it.
but yeah, I remember Jesse telling me that like bourbon just like isn't smooth. I can't remember the words you used, and maybe you remember, but that stayed with me for sure.
I love it.
That's good, man. That's good. Well, guys, I've enjoyed sipping with you all here tonight, talking about kind of the intersection here between public adjusters and home inspectors. And hey, for all of you listening, seriously, what we want to know a couple of things. Number one, what's your favorite bourbon? Two, I want to know if you smoke pipe tobacco or not, because that inspection fuel, I feel like we need to have like a smoker's, like, we'll find like a cigar lounge or something or a
Yeah,
fire pit.
I'm bringing a small humidor full of cigars. So if anyone wants to have a cigar, hit me up.
Absolutely.
You can get
Let's go.
pipe's fine too, but I'm bringing cigars.
Dude, it'll be a good time, man. But anyway, yeah. So sound off. What do you like to sip on? And hey, have you guys ever had a run in or been confused with an adjuster? I want to know that story as well. Put that in the comments. And of course, obviously, be sure to subscribe to the show. Jesse, are you on social media, by the way?
I am.
All right, where can they follow you? Because I want to plug you here a little bit too.
On Instagram at thejessiehernandez.com.
All right, good stuff. Well, you guys will see some bites from the show there. If you enjoyed it, be sure to share it. Go give Jesse a follow. Jesse, dude, thanks so much for joining us here today, man. This has been a lot of fun.
I've had a ton of fun. Matt,
All right.
appreciate the invite. Brad, great to be here. Keep up the good fight. And my favorite bourbon ever, George T. Stagg.
Nice. I have yet to try it.
I haven't either, to be honest. Yeah. So,
It's
but we'll
hard to find and expensive.
look. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, I'm looking forward to Inspection Fuel in New Orleans. Just plugged that one last time because my favorite cocktail is a Sazerac, and New Orleans is the home of it. So
that's right. That's right.
We're gonna be enjoying that.
Sazeracs and cigars and pipes.
Sazeracs, dude, it's gonna be a heck of a time.
Hey, let
and
me know
the live. What's that?
September. What is it? September what?
September 8th through the 10th. Yeah, you coming, Jesse? I mean, you might as well.
Sounds like a good time.
I mean, it almost seems like maybe a vendor opportunity or something. I don't know.
I kind of feel like it. Yeah. Get that name out there. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
Gonna be a good time for sure.
Definitely. All right, you guys go sign up and, enjoyed it. Matt, always a pleasure, buddy. And we will see all of y'all once again next time right here on
The Ride Along.
That's it. Cheers, guys.